Hi, Jeff.
Hey, Meesha.
Welcome to a special episode of the North Atlanta Real Estate Podcast with Meesha Wall.
And Jeff Ahi.
And the reason I say special is because we have not really introduced ourselves to our listeners.
Yeah, that's true. I guess it's about time we do that.
And you've been in the business for a very long time, spanning 3 decades, almost touching 4 decades now.
Yeah, so I moved up right out of school. I studied electrical engineering down in Florida, moved up here in 1988 and went straight into real estate. I was 24 years old, and it's been a crazy ride ever since.
Wow, and you raised your family not just in Atlanta, but in the suburbs. So you've got a good experience.
Yeah, started off in town and a little closer in town I guess in Brookhaven is where we lived initially for the first 6 years, and then moved out to Alpharetta in 1994. And at the time, it had first daughter, and she was getting a little over 3 years old, and we started thinking that while the schools down there weren't ideal, and we looked up here in Alpharetta, and the schools were fantastic, and lots of playmates, and so that's what brought us up here. How about yourself? What was your path to get here?
I was born in India and came to America about 2 decades ago. And little hop, skip, and jump, and I landed in Augusta, Georgia, with this fantastic real estate brokerage called Shannon Rawlings Real Estate. And I would say 90% of whatever I know in real estate has been because I had these amazing mentors. And I thought that the experience I had there and the knowledge that I brought here with me to Atlanta would just propel me onto the path of success. But it was not to be. Atlanta was a completely different beast. I had to start right at the bottom. I did not have a sphere of influence, not have any friends, no family. So it was a long, arduous journey. But along the way, I met fantastic people, amazing families, and not just, I think I took more from them than what I offered in terms of service, and raised my families. I have 2 boys who go to the public schools here. And it's been interesting, a very rewarding journey so far.
Yeah, I think your oldest boy goes to, was it Innovation Academy?
Yeah.
I mean, you need to plug that. That's impressive.
Exactly. And it's a great STEM magnet school that encompasses 6 high schools in the area. And one of the high schools that do feed into Innovation Academy, and when I say feed into, it's a lottery system, is Johns Creek High School. And Johns Creek was voted the #1 city in all of Georgia. So we are very lucky.
That was in the country.
Yeah, in the country.
In
oh
the
my
country.
Gosh. Oh, I did not realize that.
Absolutely. That's the thing that I find it's amazing, actually.
And we live right there. So
Yeah.
there's a very fluid border between Johns Creek, Alpharetta, Roswell, and even South Forsyth now, even though it's a different county. So we live in an amazing part of the country right now.
Yeah, we're really fortunate, I think. All 4 kids of mine went through the public schools as well over on the east side of Alpharetta, Chattahoochee, Taylor Road Middle, and OC Elementary. And actually, my youngest son finished up at Cambridge over here on the west side here when we moved downtown in Alpharetta. And I can't say enough about the education. It was so good. It was so diverse. They're so well prepared for life. And now they're older. My oldest now is 34. So, I'm starting to feel a little bit old myself. And so, but well prepared for life. So I can tell you, if somebody is, thinking about moving here, they really are going to be impressed with the quality of the education and just the quality of life that's around here, right?
Absolutely. And, over the 3 decades of real estate, you probably have hundreds of stories, successes, failures, excitement, boring stuff. Tell us one of your favorite stories.
Oh gosh. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll just start with one. It's probably because it was somewhat recent. It was just a couple years ago, and it was a pretty shocking, never had it happen before. And so here we were ready for closing. I had an out-of-town seller. I was representing the seller, and she was over in Japan. And so it was just me here taking care of everything, and it was a vacant house. And we were, got it under contract. Everything was going smoothly. Buyers were qualified, ready to go, and we're about a week out from closing. And I got a call from one of the next door neighbors, and she said, "Hey, there's water coming out the front door." And I said, "Well, that doesn't sound good." So I ran over there, and what had happened was that we had some new fixtures installed upstairs, a 2-story house, and one of the lines had come loose and water had just been spraying for, I don't know how long, an hour or two, whatever it was, but it took the ceilings down in about half of the home, and it was just, laying on the floor when I came in there. And so we had to take it from that stage, and the buyers were good sports, and they actually really loved the house, and they hung in there, and we had to go through insurance claim, and then I worked with the contractor, and we got the whole house rebuilt. Well, the floor was damaged, rebuilt within about 5 weeks, and about $80,000 later. And the buyers ended up with, they were happy because they got some things that they weren't expecting, some new paint and some new flooring and all sorts of good stuff for them.
So you mentioned buyers. Were you under contract?
We were under contract.
Oh.
And those, if you could imagine that shock call, I was really, another agent was working with those buyers, but I had to call them and say, unfortunately, the house that you love and are about to close on just had a little bit of a problem.
Oops moment.
Oops moment, yeah. But it all turned out well. At the end of the day, like I say, it got put back. It was probably in better shape when we delivered it to them. Albeit a little bit later, I say 5 weeks late, but all in all, they were great sports and everything turned out well in the end.
My gosh, the stories you hear in real estate, right?
Yeah, the story that you told me, though, was a little bit more uplifting. Why don't you share that one with everybody?
Yeah, so this was back in Augusta, and there was this family, let's call them the Collins family. They fell in love with the house because it reminded the mom of the house she grew up in because it was right next to a lake. And we made an offer. It was already under contract. We lost it. The house came back on the market. We made a second attempt at it. Again, got outbid, lost it the second time. And then the mom said, hey, I'm going on a cruise. When I come back, if the house is still available, let's take a third shot at it. And I was like, well, fingers crossed. They came back. The house was still available. It had fallen through 3 times, not because of any fault with the house, because we did find out after inspection that there were no big red flags. But I think the house waited for my clients. And until the perfect family came along, the house was like, I'm not going to be bought. So I think that was one of my miracle stories, that the house waited for my clients. They came back from the cruise, made an offer. I want to say below asking also, and we got it. And I always feel that if the house is meant to be yours, it will wait for you. And if a house is not for you, you can offer $100,000 above asking, $200 above asking, and you'll still not get it, like we saw in that crazy market a few years ago.
Yeah. So that's one thing. I guess both of us have quite a bit of experience and work with hundreds and hundreds of families. And, I guess we've been through the ups and downs, slow markets, fast moving markets. And so hopefully that's some of what we share with everybody. We've had a lot of experience in a lot of different areas. And I'm hoping everybody's learning a little something and taking away a little something from these podcasts.
Yes. And if you have any questions about the market in general, or where the market is headed towards, historical data, just reach out to Jeff. He's been in the business for about 4 decades. I know the area. And, I always tell people that we do have bosses, and our clients are our bosses. So if I have a boss who lives in south of the airport, which is going to be an hour and 20 minutes for me, I will still drive all the way there. So we drive all over creation, and we are road warriors, Jeff. And I think that's one of the reasons why this podcast came about.
Yeah. Tell everybody about that, because I find that interesting too. How did this come about? How did I find myself sitting across from you doing these recordings?
Yeah, whenever I drive these long 100 miles one way and then have to drive back, it takes me about 4 hours because of, the legendary Atlanta traffic. Yeah. And I'm always looking for fun things to listen to after I've done all my client calls, called up my friends, called up my family. I'm like, let's listen to a podcast. And I came across these few podcasts, not just about real estate, but let's say, I want to practice my French. I want to learn these new cooking skills. I want to know what's happening politically. And I was like, well, Jeff and I could do something like this. We have some experiences that we could share and possibly help buyers become more knowledgeable about the Georgia market, and help sellers also along the way to maybe make top dollar for the houses.
Yeah, well, I hope folks are learning something, and I hope people, if they have some ideas that they would like us to maybe to do one of the podcasts on, I hope they reach out. We can text us, call us, what have you, and let us know what you're interested in, and I'm sure we'll be able to make something up
Yeah.
and make a show out of it, right?
Absolutely. This is Meesha Rawal.
And Jeff Ahi saying goodbye, I guess, for now.
Goodbye.